so excited to have Cup of Joe with Johnny O returning to our centers. This is really exciting. So, and I want to thank the staff, Marie, Pam, Linda, and Lisa, who are here. Ethel. Thank you guys for pulling this together, getting this up and going this morning. I'm going to give a little shameless plug. Just a reminder, we've got Power of Age Expo coming October 30th. Hope to see you guys all there at the fairgrounds. So I'm really excited to introduce our county executive, Johnny Olszewski.
Can I just use this?
Yes, you can, if you want to do it.
Yeah, that's fine. That works. Oh, dangerous.
We're going to have a little bit of time at the end for questions. We'd like to keep those questions related to county operations, so we can enjoy that piece of it and really learn all the fantastic things we're doing here in Baltimore County. So with that, I will turn it over. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Oops, sorry about that, everybody. Good morning. How's Liberty doing today? Good. Great morning. It is a beautiful day. The sun is shining. The leaves are turning colors. It's a little chilly out there, but it is wonderful to be back. We're really thrilled to be getting this series kicked off again. You are the first. You are at the vanguard of these conversations for this year. So this is just a continuation of the work our office has tried to do to stay connected. We really believe very deeply that community and connectedness is at the core of what has led to any successes we've had these past 6 years as your county executive. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Michelle, thank you for the ways in which you've stepped up and been an incredible leader for this department. I know we had Laura Riley, who's been our director for a very long time. Upon her retirement, though, Michelle has been an incredible acting director. She stepped up and really kept the trains on time for us, so we're grateful for her. I want to just thank and acknowledge a couple members of my team. We have Catherine from our outreach team. We have Mandy, who's the director of our outreach team. Chris is from my office, Christopher Ewell. And then Rodney keeps me on time and safe. So thank you, Rodney. If there are follow-ups, the Department of, or the Office of Community Engagement will be happy to take your information. We already had a lively conversation this morning about Milford Mill and some of the issues there that we're going to follow up on. So thanks for coming out bright and early to make sure that we are on top of your issues and concerns. We'll have plenty of time at the back end of this to sort of hear directly from you, talk about a few issues, but I was hoping to just walk through a couple of updates. Obviously, I think the biggest, most impactful thing, and it certainly impacted my commute over to Liberty Road this morning, was the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And it has been a really trying experience. As leaders, we don't really know what we're getting into when we take these jobs. I didn't expect to be leading during a public health crisis of COVID-19. Certainly didn't expect the call at 2:47 a.m. from my fire chief saying, "Sir, the Key Bridge collapsed." I thought I was having a dream, candidly. But we have stepped up, partnered very closely with Governor Moore, President Biden, and we've made sure that not only have we cleared out the wreckage and the debris, we did that in 11 weeks, which was expected to take 11 months. We've got our folks back at the Port of Baltimore working again. We have our maritime traffic open back up. We're holding the owner of Nadali accountable. We've joined the state government in Baltimore County filing suit against the owners and operators of that vessel. We've prayed alongside the 6 families who lost those loved ones tragically in that collapse, who were working that night repairing the infrastructure. They were resurfacing the bridge. We've thanked the public service officials, the police officers from the Maryland Transportation Authority, who frankly saved countless other lives by closing the bridge down. But it's really sort of been informative and instructive for me as we sort of think about what's needed moving forward. It just was a reminder of the connectedness of all of us. And again, I sort of led with why these conversations are so important. Over the past 6 years, we've tried to change the way Baltimore County does business. So not only did we create the Office of Community Engagement that didn't exist before, we've also strengthened our lobbying laws. We created the Office of the Inspector General. That's something that didn't exist before in Baltimore County. An independent voice to sort of hold all of county government accountable. That office, we actually put a measure on the county charter referendum. So when you are voting now or an early voting soon, just here is a site, or on election day in November, That will be one of many questions that you all will have on your ballot, is whether or not to put the Office of the Inspector General in the county charter so that it can't be changed by county council or just a legislative action. It will protect it. So I'm encouraging folks to vote for that, in addition to all of the questions around borrowing. So lots of money for the Department of Aging this year in the borrowing question. I think it's something like $75 million for the Department of Aging. It's helping us do things like renovations at new senior centers, which we'll talk about in a bit. Mentioned the Office of Community Engagement. In Baltimore County, you can now call 311 if you have a pothole need, or if a sidewalk's broken, or if your trash wasn't picked up. That didn't exist 6 years ago, so if you haven't availed yourself of that service, please know that 311 is also available here. Our budget process is now one where you can go on to the website for Baltimore County. You can see down to the paycheck where your tax dollars are being utilized across Baltimore County. And much like our Cup of Joe series, we're very proud of the Town Hall series, which we've done now for 6 years. Every year we have several thousand residents come out across Baltimore County to talk about some of the issues that are facing their communities. Sometimes we make immediate progress, sometimes we have to continue and stick at it, but we thank everyone who's engaged in those conversations. That's led to a lot of really productive and positive outcomes for Baltimore County. Those of you who don't know this about me, I've probably said it so much that you all do, but I'm very proud to have been a product of the Baltimore County Public School System. I'm proud to have been a teacher in the Baltimore County Public School System, and I'm proud to send my daughter to Baltimore County Public Schools. So in all of those ways, we've known that education is a place where we really want to invest. We have spent $200 million more annually above what's required from the state of Maryland, something called the maintenance of effort. Maryland sets this amount every year that says if you just maintain your effort, maintenance of effort, relative to how much you support education, this is the number. We have gone together over $200 million above that maintenance number. So very proud that we've been able to raise our teacher salaries. We went from some of the middle of the pack across the state to we've now hit that $60,000 number a year that's required by the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, 2 years ahead of time. And we now have some of the highest paid teachers and support personnel in the state. We're not just investing in the classroom though. So in addition to salaries, we've hired more social workers and counselors and pupil personnel workers to help support classroom success. But we're also investing in the building. So we have a plan, it's called the Multi-Year Improvement Plan for all schools, where we are investing almost $3.5 billion over the next 12 years. We are 3 years into the plan. It was a 15-year plan. We've already spent $800 million towards that $3.3 billion that we've committed. That means we're going to have 3,000 new seats. All of the trailers that you've seen across Baltimore County, this is a plan that will eliminate all of the trailers. I remember teaching in a trailer that had a big hole in it. But also in terms of things like safety, with security vestibules and cameras, and just making sure that every school is new and modernized. We've opened 8 brand new schools. We were just at Bedford Elementary School in Pikesville yesterday. We're working on a new Scotts Branch Elementary School. We're working on a new CTE center in Northwest Baltimore County to replace Campfield Early Learning Center, which is having those students return to other classrooms. Just really excited about the investments we're making across all of Baltimore County. Mentioned school safety. We have those new security vestibules to keep our children and families safe so they can buzz in. We continue to support school resource officers. We actually have grown the number of school resource officers we have in Baltimore County. I mentioned the counselors, the pupil personnel workers, social workers. This is good for seniors too, good for all residents of Baltimore County. Any family who makes $150,000 a year or less can go to our community college now for absolutely free. So if you're looking to take a class, if you all are interested in a credential, this applies to all of you as well. If you are a Baltimore County resident, it is your community college. We're very proud that we're not just investing in our young people, but we're also investing in our recent graduates and all of our adults and our seniors. So I would just wanted to point out, this is an accomplishment we're very proud of. So if anyone, you all or family members are interested in advancing themselves either through a language class or a certificate, we'd encourage you to take advantage of the fact that we now offer free tuition here in Baltimore County. We also have taken away fines for our library system. We've invested, this is the theme of education. So if you have late library books or CDs or movies, it's okay. We got rid of the fines. You can take them back. We've also just invested more in staff and other supports, recognizing the changes in our communities. We now have more social workers, domestic violence supports, not just in our libraries, but also in our school systems, in our police departments, et cetera. So very excited about the work that we're doing with our library system. Coming down Liberty, the old Ollie's and Shoppers 8212, if you're not aware of that site, that's a very exciting project. Recreation and Parks has partnered with the library. We're going to actually relocate the Randallstown Library to that site. We're going to expand the library, and we're going to put a bunch of recreational offerings alongside it. So that entire complex is going to be a giant library rec space. It's kind of a new innovative approach where we put co-located services. So I hear a lot about pickleball at those town halls. We're going to have plenty of pickleball options for folks who like that. We'll have other recreational amenities for residents of all ages, but we're excited about that investment too. Public safety. Baltimore County is one of the safest counties in the state of Maryland. And we're very proud that we are investing both in our public safety officials, but also in upstream investments. So we are proud that during our time in office, we've spent nearly $75 million for new fire apparatus, new police cars. We've paid more for our police and our emergency personnel. We continue to invest in those departments. We've come together to pass some bipartisan common sense legislation around gun safety. So requiring our gun shop owners to store guns safely. This was passed by the Republicans and Democrats on the county council. Making sure that people who shouldn't have guns can't steal them and then have guns illegally. We worked with Speaker Jones, not just on the 8212 site, but also we worked with her and our chief, Robert McCullough, to pass a bill that will ban what's called Glock switches. This is a kind of in the weeds thing, but it's a little piece of plastic that turns a handgun basically into a semi-automatic weapon. And so making that illegal so that we're not doing that. I mentioned increased investments across the board, police, fire, corrections, 911 center, tens of millions of dollars, multiple percentage increases in all these departments, as we're also investing in things like ROCA, which is a youth violence interruption system in some communities, as we're investing significant new resources in recreation and parks, both in our capital and our operating costs, so that we're engaging our communities, we're engaging our young people to help prevent violence from happening in the first place. We stood up our first ever loop. It's the first free fixed route public transit system in Baltimore County's history. We're hoping to expand that to communities across Baltimore County. We keep asking the state for more money to help us with that. We've been unsuccessful to date, so we're hoping that we can convince the state to be a better partner so that we can replicate some of these systems. This is fully funded locally, just as has been the $100 million or more of road resurfacing. The state of Maryland used to give us something called highway user revenue. We have gotten about $36 million less of that annually since 2009. That's been about a $450 million delta that we've been underfunded. So it's really had an impact on our ability to do transportation. Very proud of our work on sustainability. We brought back glass recycling when we came into office. I was kind of shocked to learn that the county had stopped doing that. We also now have bulk trash pickup twice a year. That should be sent out, and if you don't know your bulk trash pickup dates, that is also online, or Mandy and the OCE team can also help you find that information. We're also going back into our existing communities and some of our aging communities on things like Operation Retree, which is an urban street tree program where we have now planted over 55,000 new trees in our existing communities. Talked about recreation and parks, $220 million of capital investment. We grew the operating costs by 30% this year. We've opened 7 new parks in 2024. There was this new skateboard park, the first concrete bowl skateboard park in Rosedale to match the one that we have in Lansdowne. We have a lot of open space park, passive parks, new recreation activity centers all over Baltimore County for our residents to enjoy. I mentioned the referendum for our seniors. We have $27 million already invested in the Woodlawn Senior Center expansion. We also have more money coming across all of our centers. In addition, again, it's the programming. It's the No Senior Eats Alone Day. Has anyone taken advantage of participated in No Senior Eats Alone? It's one of my favorite days of the year. I would check it out next year. We have the Because program where we partner with the Weinberg Foundation to go in and help do home repairs that are essential to make sure our seniors can age in place. And we also have created the Baltimore County Volunteer Center, thanks to all of those of you who are some of our volunteers. And if you haven't, I would encourage you to do that. On housing, we know housing is a crisis for, again, all of our residents. We're proud that we partnered with Dave Bramble of MCB to announce the largest attainable housing deal in our county's history. We created the county's first Department of Housing and Community Development during the pandemic, and we ended discrimination by source of income by passing the HOME Act here in Baltimore County. We're moving forward with more investments. One of the most exciting things that we did recently was we partnered with the county council to differentiate tax rates. So if a property is designated as vacant, and you can go online with our BC Stat team and actually see where vacant properties are across Baltimore County. But we now are going to be charging 10 times the amount for owners that intentionally leave their properties vacant and derelict to try to motivate them to sort of upkeep them or sell them so that we can have progress in our communities. I mentioned that. I mentioned the attainable housing deal. And, just generally, especially on the west side here, we continue to make historic investments. The Security Square site, we know, was once a bustling place of commercial activity that has since fallen pretty largely into decline, especially with these larger big box stores that have closed. Baltimore County is stepping in partnership with the state, especially Speaker Jones and your District 10 team. But we're very excited that we've spent $30 million. Not all of it spent. We've set aside $30 million to acquire. Now Baltimore County owns about 40% of that site. We are positioning it for redevelopment. We are engaging with the community about what it wants to see in terms of housing or commercial, open space, other opportunities. We're investing in community association organizations, and along the Liberty Road corridor, we're very proud to have stood up a new community development organization, the Greater Randallstown Community Development Organization. So this is really about making sure that the community has the resources to recruit, attract, and retain the right businesses along the corridor. It's part of our larger place-based initiative effort. We're doing work like that in Essex. We're doing work in Dundalk. We're doing work in Woodlawn Village, really trying to be hyper-targeted about our approach. So we're seeing that here along the Liberty Road corridor with 8212. We're seeing it down at Liberty and Woodlawn, where we're getting a grocery store to finally come back. We're going to have brand new amenities there. We're seeing it in places like Woodlawn Village as well, where we are going in and really trying to lift up some of these historic sites. So those are just a few updates. I could probably ramble on all day, but very proud about what we've done together. But I know this is also about hearing some of your concerns and some of your questions. So Mandy, I don't know if you want to just sort of like walk a microphone around or...
Sure. I know some folks sent questions in advance, but we can also do open questions too. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand and we will pass the mic around. One of our mics is down though, so we do have
We'll
to
share.
use one.
That's
We'll
fine.
share it. Yes. So we'll start here and we'll make our way around. Good morning.
Morning.
Wait, one, hold it a little closer.
Good morning.
Morning.
I live in Owens Mills, and they're about to put a new exit off of 795 directly into our community, and they're about to do a roundabout at Hewitt Farms. And I would note that we have a community of 125 houses. Having that roundabout at Hewitt Farms and Toll Gate is going to make it very, very difficult for our community to be able to enter and exit. And there's not only our community, there's another new build community. So we're talking almost 200 homes. And
Is that do we know if that's a county project or a state project?
I don't know, we can look it up
Okay.
and see, find that out.
So first of all, we'll find out if it's a county project or a state project. If it's a state project, we'll connect you with the state officials who would have say in that. If it's a county project, we'll connect you with our Department of Public Works and Transportation. But either way, we'll make sure that you get to the right individuals leading the effort to have that conversation and share your concerns. I'll say also, I talked about how the state has really disinvested and underinvested in transportation. It's been the one place where we've really struggled to have the support that we want. They've been great in a lot of other places, school construction, support for our recreation projects, but Dolefield in particular is one area where we've tried. It's been it's been the #1 transportation priority for Baltimore County for almost 20 years now. It's been like deferred, delayed. It was funded for a year under Governor Hogan, then it was unfunded, and it was funded last year under Governor Moore, and now the proposed budget has it unfunded again. But I do think if we were able to get that project moving, it might be something that helps sort of take some of that congestion, to your point, away for the need to do other projects. So we continue to push for that, but we'll also in the meantime look for solutions to your concern as well.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming, and good morning to all.
Oh.
You said nothing
Great.
about the STEM cell, or the STEM school that was slated to go on
Greens Lane.
And I'd like to
Yep.
know the progress of that, if it's going to still
Yep.
develop. Also, this is a semi-complaint about Milford and Liberty Road. Several years ago, Royal Farms wanted to put a business there, and I thought it was voted down. And then when it was announced that the supermarket was going to be built there, there was no mention of Royal Farms or filling station, which we need, like we need a hole in the head. I ride by there one day and there's a 50-foot hole. And I knew right away, I said, they're going to install gas tanks there. Then the sign went up about Royal Farms. And I feel as though that we were backstabbed, so to speak, because it was sneaked in behind the supermarket. And so that's my complaint. I know it's gone, it's there now, but I just wanted to vent about that project. But I want to know about the STEM school
Sure.
as well.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that this morning over here at our front right table too. So I'll actually work backwards because I think it's important to understand. So the things that the county controls is resources and incentives to bring businesses that we want. So on the grocery store, we heard loud and clear. I've heard loud and clear, both running for this office and also serving in this office, that we need more fresh grocery options along the Liberty Road corridor. So we were proud to be able to basically incentivize the new grocery store that's coming. And so we are proud to deliver that. I do know there's a lot of angst and concern from the community about things like liquor stores, gas stations, and some of those businesses that are along the corridor. That's part of the reason why we've set up this Liberty Road Community Development Organization, because we want that organization to work with the community and work with business owners to make sure that we're starting to cultivate the kinds of businesses that the community wants and putting more incentives to help place that. One of the challenges with the corridor is that almost all of these parcels are individually owned and they're privately owned, and so we have limited say in terms of like what can and can't. The one tool I will say that the county has in terms of what can and can't go is zoning. And so what I've said this morning, what I'll say to the group is if there are continued concerns about any particular type of business, would be to engage with your councilman about what zoning applications are applied to these plots of land along the corridor, because the zoning really dictates what these private businesses can and can't do. And the county council guards their zoning authority very closely. They don't like it when the county executive tries to suggest or tell them what the zoning should be or on any particular property. I may have had a couple of skirmishes with the council on that, and they were like, get back in your lane, Johnny O. So I would encourage everyone, if it's sort of writ large or specific parcels, to engage with Councilman Jones and other members of the council. But I hear you. I know that's something that we've heard loud and clear from community members. On the STEM question, we're very proud to have purchased the Greens Lane property behind the multipurpose center. Part of what we heard in developing what we thought was going to be the STEM center there was that folks were worried about parking, they were worried about traffic, and wanted to preserve some open space. So I think the plan, as it currently stands, and this will be part of the engagement process around 8212, is we actually see 8212 as an opportunity to embed that STEM programming with the new library and the new rec center. So I think we're going to actually make that part of this much larger project. And then if that's acceptable to the community, we'll come back and talk about more passive recreational opportunities to sort of enhance the field at 8212, if that makes sense. What's that?
Is the school still going there, the STEM school?
So the STEM center, the plan is now to basically put that into the 8212 building, the old Ollie's and Shoppers, where we're going to have a library, a new bigger library. We'll have a new rec center. It's like 300,000 square feet. So
Still coming.
it is still coming. It'll just be located, right. So we wanted to make sure it's coming, but we thought that this would be a great place to sort of co-locate it, integrate it into programming, so it's not just standalone. And then also we're able to address some of the neighbors' concerns about traffic, parking, adding it on the backside of the community center. So we think it can be a win-win, preserving that open space, putting in maybe some passive recreation opportunities, some like walking paths, again, with input from the community, so that we still have the STEM center, but we also have a great open space to complement the community center that we have here too.
I don't want to keep that objective, but open space draws developers. And they see open space, if it sits there long enough, somebody's going to find a way to develop it to our disliking.
So the whole point of program open space is to do the exact opposite of that. So once the county owns that property, it's in our open space inventory. In theory, the county could sell it, but it would require a whole conversion process where they'd have to find other land, they'd have to engage the community. But the whole point of open space is to stop that from happening and to preserve the limited green space that we have. We just did a new park. What was it? It was in Pikesville. Meadow Creek Park. One of the few last remaining green parcels that has some walking paths, a couple of swings, like nothing. And again, it was with the community's input. I think that's the approach we should take with Greens Lane. How do we preserve one of the few last pieces of sort of green, natural open space for the benefit of the community, and doing so in a way that it really becomes impossible, certainly very, very difficult, if not impossible, to turn that into a development so the community has something to enjoy.
Quick fix. The signs around this parking lot, it reads 8:30 to 3 o'clock, but yet the center stays open from 8:30 to 4 o'clock. Is that a quick, easy fix if y'all can change those signs out?
We can certainly look into it.
That's my quick fix.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
We like quick fixes. Good morning.
The mobility for seniors. It's a mess. Because when the seniors call in, they'll request a 2 o'clock pickup. And they'll tell them, we'll get there between 2 and 2:30, okay? But then they have a half an hour leeway where they can be late. So when you call in to the late center, they'll say, oh, we didn't get there at 2:30. They'll be there at 2:45. Actually, they're taking almost a whole hour. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
They are misleading the seniors into that half an hour leeway, because now it's almost becoming a whole hour
Yep.
leeway. Can you do something about that? And
Yep.
the Baltimore County one,
Yeah.
I think they can only
2 rides. Why is that? And will the loop help with mobilizing these seniors to where they want to be?
Good questions. Yeah. So I'm going to try to tackle, I think, all of it. I may pull in my Department of Aging team here. I think the first question was about MTA mobility, which I don't oversee, but Mandy and her team will make sure we connect you with some folks there who can answer your questions. That's a state-run program. I'll jump to the loop question next before turning it over on the county ride question, which is the Baltimore County program, and the 2 rides. The loop will help when we get it stood up in other communities. So what we have seen, it is helpful. It's currently running in the Towson community. We have seen that we've looked at opportunities in the Southwest, the Northeast, the Central area has one, the Southwest, the South, yes, South. We looked at 5 spots across the county: Southeast, Northeast, Central, Southwest, Southeast, Northwest, Southeast. Once they are running, it will be helpful, but again, these programs are very expensive. I think it's now pushing up on $4 million a year just operationally. And so again, this goes back to, I mentioned highway user revenue. That's one bucket that's really sort of dried up from the state. There's also this program called LOTS that the state used to give Baltimore County, locally operated transit systems. And Montgomery County gets something like $40 million a year to operate local transit. We get about $1.5 million. So we've been pushing the state really hard on this transportation question so that we can do more loop to help, because then it just becomes like it's on a 15, 20-minute interval. You can just hop on and hop off as you need to, which is why I really want to go in that direction. But I know that we do county ride service, we extended the hours, we do Saturday service, and we also have engaged with Uber and Lyft to help fill gaps for Baltimore County. But I'm going to let Michelle talk about, I don't know about the limited number of rides.
So I think you're talking about our Center Connection program, right, where we bring the folks 2 days a week? Yes. So we will have to have some conversations with Department of Public Works and Transportation and see if there's any opportunity to increase that. So right now, they just do 2 days for our Center Connection program and at some of our other centers
Okay.
where we offer that program.
All right.
But thank you.
Yeah, well, we're happy to take a look at that program as well and see if there are ways we can enhance it. So, yeah.
One of my main concerns is crime.
Mhm.
I think that, when I think of, I can imagine being a young mother now, and your child is going to school,
Mhm.
and you don't know if the child is going to come home safe because there's so many crimes. You look on the news, and 2 boys they're 14 and 15, and they've shot people and all of that.
Yep.
What in other countries I don't understand what's going on with our children and the crime, and what are we going to do about these? Something has to be done.
Yeah.
Because I have lived in this area for over 50 years, and the things that I have seen I could send my children right down to Harewood every day and never had a problem,
Mhm.
never. But now, children as a rule, normal children as a rule, they might fight today, but they make up in a couple days. But you can't shoot someone and they would be okay. You see
I agree.
children in wheelchairs now,
Yep.
and something has to be done.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'd say, actually, as we look at the crime data, youth offenders are actually the most concerning. We've actually seen in Baltimore County, our adult numbers continue to decline. We are seeing fewer and fewer and fewer adult crimes. We are seeing a spike in juvenile crimes. And that's really tragic as someone who has a 9-year-old who taught in those schools. Part of it is we have an obligation. So that's why we're doing school safety assistants. It's why we're doing school resource officers. It's why we've done the security vestibules, the cameras. We have weapon technology systems deployed in our schools. It's why we're doing the counselors, smaller class sizes with more teachers, pupil personnel workers, social workers, all the things that we can try to prevent things from happening. What I don't have as much control about, and frankly have the most concern about, is the accountability for, we should do all of that, because I think the best thing to do is to avoid getting children involved in that. But it's the accountability on the back end. So, for example, there was a tragic shooting recently in Rogers Forge. Unfortunately, it was a youth offender who was already in DJS's custody, had a monitoring system on, had taken, and I've learned, had taken it off. It had been off for a month. Okay, so again, it goes back to accountability from DJS. And so we have reached out to the secretary of DJS, Vinnie Schiraldi, to ask for a meeting because we want to see more. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to bring these young people in so that for those who can be rehabilitated, like we should do that. But there has to be some accountability, especially if these are like very violent offenses. We can't just, if there's no action taken, then nothing stops these youth from reoffending. And so unfortunately we're seeing that in the data. And that's sort of the piece where I don't have direct control, but we're really trying to go. But I think your concerns are shared, I guess is what I want to say. Sure.
You know, this is my idea, one of my ideas.
Sure.
Before say a person, this is a repeat offender, he's 14 years old. If, when you're so-called sentencing him for punishment, one of the things that he will have to do is he has to make a composition about something. What is the most important thing in this life or something? Before he can even think about getting probation.
Yep.
I think that because that is the one time that they say he has to learn to read, he has to learn to write before he can get probation and before he can see any relatives. I think that's important because you have to give them a reason for wanting to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I think that you should say, and maybe this sounds cruel, find out his favorite friend and say, whisper, but let him think that his favorite friend has died. That seems cruel, but think of this. How will he feel if his favorite friend has died because he has hurt someone else? When I saw that man on the street being stomped and beaten, and if you can do that, then let him think that someone else has done that to one of his favorite friends. And I think in order to, you gotta fight fire with fire. It might not be a match, but you have to do something to make them scared and make them suffer before they can do right. And that's my thing.
We're gonna go to this lady back here, she's got her hand up too, so we'll go next, we'll come around everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
I live in Olszewski, and I gave up my house because of my mobility. And I'm in a condo now up off of Stouffville.
Uh-huh.
Lakeside and Groffsville has a wonderful shopping center that's practically empty. And as soon as I moved there, the Giant closed. Now I hear Granny's is going. Nothing to do.
So I think this goes back to what we had to, it took a lot of work to get this Milford site back up and running, but we need to take that same approach with all of these shopping centers that are decaying or closing. And so what I would suggest we'll do here is we'll engage our Department of Economic Development and Workforce to try to set up a meeting with the community first to hear what you all want, but then also, I have a sense, I think I know what the answer is, but then also to try to reach out to the owners of these properties to see if we can provide some incentives to get the kinds of businesses the community wants again. We do have funding for those purposes, but again, these are part of the challenges. These are private transactions, and so, but I think we have an obligation to make the connections, to provide the resources, to try to see if we can get those centers vibrant again. I will say this goes back to the conversation we were having about zoning. One of the things that I tried to do, and I've heard overwhelmingly this is one of the ways that we can spur redevelopment, is I tried to go in and put zoning in that would have allowed for mixed use zoning in places like shopping centers that were shut down and closed, because especially with some of these big box stores and the ways in which we've changed our shopping patterns with online shopping and Amazon, we're not going to just replace big box stores with big box stores everywhere in Baltimore County or across this country. So with some of those other sites in particular, I tried to put in zoning that says you could put a little bit of, because we have a housing crisis also, you can put housing alongside commercial to try to really incentivize that reinvestment and that reinvigoration. So you might see some restaurants or a grocery store along with some condos or townhomes or single family homes in those locations. County council said, that's nice, county executive, but we'll be the ones to pick about what we do in all these sites. So I think there are tools that we can apply, but it will require working with our departments to have the financial resources, and then also with council members on zoning, because they prefer to do it piece by piece by piece as opposed to creating these opportunities across the county. So we'll make some connections for you there. Yep. Good morning.
I've read your strategic plan and you promised to modernize our aging infrastructure
Mhm.
and practices, and I'd just like to thank you and your team for keeping your promise.
Thank you.
Also,
I'm impressed you read the strategic plan. I love that. I love that.
I have a problem. I'm a long time resident around this town since the 70s, and I've just seen so much trash being in the streets.
Uh-huh.
I'd just like to know about the street cleaning practices, because there's a lot of trash being thrown out of cars and on our byways and highways, and in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So I can take that one. So I know as Liberty Road is a state road, I know there's a lot of trash that does build along that road. We can connect with our state highway administration and ask for them to come out and sweep the road. Sorry about that. We can do that. If there's a specific road, this is for everybody. If there's a specific road in the area, and it's heavy with trash, and it's a local county road, you can reach out to our office and we can have our Department of Public Works come out there and also do a street sweep too. So I'll connect with you to see what road specifically you're talking about.
Good morning.
Chris. Good morning.
My concern today is that
1 second.
I've been living across the street with seniors in Senior Complex 5 years, and we discussed something that has been really necessary for someone to voice their opinion about, so I took it over. But what I see here is that Liberty Road is very dangerous. We all come up this side,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if there's something we can do, like a push button light
Yeah.
for people to cross the street, because sometimes we go to Vaughn Funeral Home,
Yeah.
sometimes they go to Walmart, they cross the street, or sometimes they come up this way where traffic lights are. By the time they get there, the lights are green again and blinking. But a young woman was killed about 3 weeks ago. Somewhere on Liberty Road, a car ran over her. People usually cross the street, sometimes when it's clear, and sometimes when it's not, they still take a chance. But is there anything we can do, like have a push button light, for us that live in here, or
Yeah.
us that comes in the whole
Yeah.
Liberty Senior Center?
Yep.
If we can have a push, because people exit and come in,
Yep.
if we can have something like a push button light
Yep.
that they can cross.
So,
I'm concerned
Yep. So I won't go too far so Manny can hand the microphone off someone. So the answer is yes. We're happy to advocate. This is the challenge with Liberty Road for us again, though. We are happy to advocate for you, and I think that makes a lot of sense as a solution. But because it's a state road, the state literally won't let us go do work on it. They have to approve it. And we've even offered sometimes to fund it. But this has been just a persistent challenge for Liberty Road, is that the state owns it, operates it, and so they're the ones who ultimately do it. But we are happy to make the connections, and we will advocate alongside you and your neighbors to try to make it happen.
One more.
Sure.
I met with Congressman Jones as well.
Yep.
I've been to his office, I met his secretary.
Yep.
She took my phone number and she did call me, but unsuccessfully, we couldn't reach him because he was busy at the time.
Okay.
To see if we can, the same thing I just discussed with you.
Yep.
If it would help the seniors, everybody in here, and who lives across the street.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can even set up, what I'm happy to do, and you all can tell me if this makes sense, I'm happy to set up, we can try to set up a meeting with the state highway administrators for, Liberty Road issues and sort of generally state highway issues.
Yep.
So if that's a value, we can even maybe have it here again. And if you're comfortable, we can just open it up to other community members who are interested, but it can be a senior-focused conversation with state highway. Great, yeah, we'll do that. Oh, sorry, we'll get you.
When I used to
What
go
time do we
walking,
have to be out of here?
but I
You're okay,
can't
okay.
do it now.
Okay.
But up there with the brands down there,
Until 12 is the
it's just
lunch.
trash all over the
In DC
place.
though, Chris?
And it's a church
Okay.
across from Randallstown. It's just trash all around the place. And then my mom used to talk about it all the time, wonder why people do that. So we need help with that too.
Okay. And what is the church?
I don't know the name of that church. It's across from Randallstown. I don't know
Where
the
the
name
son
of it.
high school?
No, that's that's Randallstown. Oh, it's elementary school on the
Great.
corner.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Mine is in reference to crime.
Mhm.
I live right down by Milford and Ricerstown, where the church caught on fire this week. Next to that is a motel hotel, and from what I heard, they house the homeless. The crime in that area is terrible. I get alerts every day, and it's 3 and 4 crimes going on at a time. It is awful. It's awful.
Okay. So I think what we can do here is, for you and anyone interested in your neighborhood, we'll connect you with Chief McCullough and members of his team, maybe the precinct commander, so that we make sure that we're going after those issues you raise. One of the pieces of legislation we also passed during our time, it's the padlock law. So basically, if there are a number of calls to a site, so we can start to see if this one's eligible. If a site has persistent problems over and over and over again, we have the authority to basically close it down until they get their stuff together. Or if they're unwilling, it sort of becomes an incentive to require gas station owners or hotel owners to basically do a better job of managing their property. So we're happy to explore that with you as well. Got one back there too.
I'm gonna come to my lady and a couple here. I also just wanna note, the county executive does have, to be out of here in about the next 5 minutes. So we're gonna take, maybe 2 more questions here, and then we'll take 2 more questions here, and then Catherine and I will be here afterwards, so we're gonna stay. So if you do not get to give your question directly to the county executive, we're gonna be here to make sure we're giving out our information, and we'll take your questions after that too. So I'm gonna go here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I actually have 3 concerns, so I'm gonna be real quick. The first is, I know we talked about empty lots, et cetera, but there's been a gas station right there at Brynbrook and Liberty, and it's been empty for about 2 years. I think it's an eyesore. I also think that something needs to be there, and more senior centers, actually. I need to say that, because we're busting at the seams right here. I'm the president of the council here. And I think that...
I love your outfit, Madam President.
I'm known for my outfits. But, I really would like to see more more involvement in the selection. Sadly, we're losing Marie. Marie is retiring, and I've expressed to some of the representatives of the Department of Aging the fact that there are 4 staff members here, but there's 67 volunteers. And I want to recognize Pam, who might be stepping down and take Marie's place. But because we're volunteers, we're partnering with the staff.
Yeah.
And we're basically running the center. So the voice of our team is vital. And I think it should be something considered in all sites because it's run by volunteers.
Yep.
So that's one point. And the other is we're sharing space that we believe some of the offices really could be in another site so that we could have more space here. We're bursting at the seams. So we would like consideration about the spaces being utilized that they be relocated in another spot. So that's my concerns, and I want to make sure that my board doesn't see me as remiss in not taking advantage of the opportunity.
Sure. Duly noted. Just before, just real quick. We'll work with Michelle and team to see what, if any, spaces we can open up if we have other locations throughout the county. We are in the process of opening up a new county office building. I don't know if there are county offices that might be appropriate for 305 Washington and Towson, that new sort of government space. But we'll happy to look at that. And then I do think it's appropriate to solicit feedback. I don't know about I don't have the inner workings of the selection process, but I think certainly sitting down with the council and the leadership to say what kind of leader, what kind of experience, what qualities and characteristics are you looking for, I think to help inform that selection process. But I think there are and should be meaningful ways to include you all in the replacement. We're gonna miss you. When's retirement? Next Thursday.
Physical day on site.
No, you can't go that soon. No, congratulations. Thank you for your service. And what I will say is we've also, in our early years, we recognized that some of our centers all of our centers are understaffed, but we had some centers that had, I think, like 1 staff person. And so we added enough additional employees early on in our tenure to make sure that we weren't constantly pulling from other centers. So for those centers that just had 1 person, if they were closed, we were often have to pull from here and other centers. And so we've been able to at least add enough staff members that I think we've sort of minimized the need to do that by having enough staff in other places, that if one person didn't mean the whole center would shut down otherwise. It's an improvement, but it sounds like we need to continue to invest. And I would say both in infrastructure and operating stuff. You all can fill a room, clearly. I think the next county executive, well, whether or not I'm county executive next budget cycle.
I'm supposed to say you are going to be.
Whomever holds the role of county executive next budget cycle, I would encourage you to, I fully expect that the budget town halls will continue because they've been so successful and because people have gotten so used to them. I would fully encourage you all to come out and talk, not just about the road safety and the grocery stores and the gas stations, but really come advocate for your center and talk about specifically finding more space, having more staff, having more programming, because that really is what I've used over the years to inform our investment decisions. And so I'd encourage you to also use that opportunity for whomever is leading the budget next year.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to just say thank you, Johnny, and your staff for coming. We appreciate you. And all of the volunteers here as well. Cheryl was right. We couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for that. But 2 quick questions. With the Baltimore County Community College, you said if you lived in Baltimore County, you can actually go for free.
Yep.
Is that only for if you're 60? And then is it also for continuing ed classes and credit classes as well? And then one other quick one.
Yep.
Those big, nice blue trash cans that you gave out, it was on Millfield Mill, but the side of, it stopped like right there where the underpass is.
Okay.
So everybody on that side received them, but we didn't on and so I said, I was with my neighbors, mentioned that I would
Yeah.
mention it.
Okay.
But the 21208 zip code,
Okay.
we didn't receive it, so I was just curious if, you're still, cause they're really nice trucks. So just.
And we'd like
curious-
some.
And
And 21208.
Oh, 21208 didn't get them. So,
Didn't get 'em.
oh, y'all didn't get them? So, yeah, so we were just curious if, we're gonna receive those
Sure.
trash cans as well. Thank you.
So I'll work backwards. So the answer is, this is all part of us trying to be data-driven and data-informed, is our department really asked for the opportunity to do a couple of pilot projects. They've got one on the west side, one on the east side. We're collecting data to see if that drops down the incidence of code enforcement complaints, to see if that drops down the volume of trash and increases the volume of recycling. So we're looking at all those metrics to try to help justify, because doing that countywide is something like a $35 million investment. Which, again, we're not opposed to doing, but I think we want to just make sure the data justifies it. I will say alternatively, I believe in quality of life, and so if enough people come out to the town halls and say, hopefully the data's good, but we'd like to have this investment countywide, like if that's the priority of the jurisdiction, like then we should have that conversation. I will say I had a heart-to-heart with the council when I delivered my last budget, and I said, you know, if we want to keep doing these nice things like investing in senior centers, investing in trash and recycling carts, repaving our roads, we're going to have to find a way to make sure we pay for these things. And so I think like budgets are about priorities, so if that's a priority, I'd come express that. On the community college question, no, you don't have to be a senior. This applies to every single Baltimore County resident. So if you are a senior in high school, if you're a senior citizen, anyone who makes, any family that makes less than $150,000 a year, free tuition, whether that's continuing ed, certificate, associate's degree, want to just learn a class, woodworking, foreign language, si tu veux apprendre français, not a problem, go learn some French. So I'm going to let Catherine and Mandy continue. I apologize if there are questions that I didn't directly get to hear from, but this is so helpful to us as we do our work. I promise that everyone will get a response. I can't promise that it will be 100% satisfactory or solve the problem conclusively, but I think this is why we keep showing up, so that the conversations continue. It's why we keep doing the town halls, keep doing the coffee, so that we can keep driving towards the ultimate answer. So I want to thank you all for taking the morning to spend it with me, considering it not robbery to spend a few hours with me and my team. So I just am grateful again for you all being here. Thank you to the entire team here at Liberty for hosting us. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week, a great weekend, and regardless of for whom you might vote, this is a really critical election. Please make sure that you and your family get out there and vote. So, all right, thanks everybody. God bless.